Well, ladies and gentlemen, fellow UKIPers, are we all in good heart?
Yes!
The sun's shining, and the sun shines on the righteous, and not only are we righteous, of course, but we are right too, and the British public at large knows it. I'm delighted to be here with you today, and it's not a small branch at all. I think this is a fantastic turnout. This is the sort of event that the Conservative Party used to be able to organise. But I don't think they can do so any longer, because whereas UKIP's membership is going through the roof, theirs is going through the floor. I have to apologise for only half of me being here today, because although I know that Christine has been advertised on the tickets and somebody's asked for half his money back already because Christine's not with me, you can probably hear from my voice that I've had a dreaded lurgy, and I've now given it to her. Well, marriage is all about sharing, isn't it? And so she's at home in bed, I hope alone, so I know she would very much like to have been here today, because she knows this part of the world very well. Her first job was working for the late, great Sir Gerald Nabarro, who used to be the Member of Parliament for this constituency. She was blonde, blue-eyed, 21 years old, and couldn't type. So I'm not quite sure what he employed her for. Probably to comb the handlebar moustache. And I'm very pleased to see an impressive moustache here today, maintaining the grand traditions. So she's very sorry not to be able to come and explore some of her old stamping grounds from the years before yesterday. Going back now, actually before we joined the dreaded European Economic Community, because Joe Nabarro died in 1973, I think, because he was a strong Eurosceptic. He voted against going into the common market in the first place, and I think he paid the ultimate sacrifice when we did go in, decided it wasn't worth living any longer, and so he died. Which meant that she became unemployed, but she wasn't unemployed for very long. But anyway, UKIP is really making a difference to this country. We're transforming the political landscape. I think it's quite miraculous, actually, what we've managed to achieve in a party that didn't even exist 20 years ago, and even 5 years ago was regarded as being on the political fringe. Well, they don't think we're on the political fringe anymore, do they? Because we're kicking bottoms up and down the country and voting them out where we can. And the performance that we put up in the council elections just a few weeks ago was truly magnificent. And I'm so sorry that a number of candidates in this area missed by the narrowest of margins. 3 votes, 4 votes, 69 votes, I think it was. Our young friend here, only 18 years old, might otherwise have now been a Worcestershire County Council. I think it was a magnificent effort. And how wonderful it is to see young people at a UKIP event. I said to some incredulity earlier on when I was talking to somebody that when I joined UKIP, the average age of a UKIP member was 72. I was then 54, so I was in the young UKIP section of the party at that time. Since then, that average age has come crashing down as more and more young people are joining a party of idealism, and that's what the big difference that UKIP, I think, has made to politics in Britain is that we've reintroduced idealism to the country once again. And I know from having canvassed in all the recent parliamentary by-elections how successful we have been at getting people out to vote who had given up voting at all, thinking it wasn't worth bothering. The lib-lab con are just one or other variant of exactly the same thing, and none of them listens to anything we say, and all they're in it for is to line their own pockets or to play a political game. Like David Cameron and George Osborne, it's just the Oxford Union writ large. And I'm sorry that I'm dressed in Cameronian style today without a tie, but David Cameron's first job, was working for me, amazingly. When he worked in the Conservative Research Department just down from Oxford, and I was a Trade and Industry Minister, he was appointed to look after me. Well, he doesn't seem to learn very much from his experience, does he? Well, except that he became Prime Minister and I didn't. But I wouldn't want to have been Prime Minister just for the sake of it. Whereas that is the reason he's become Prime Minister, for the sake of it. He doesn't really know what he wants to achieve. He doesn't care what he achieves. For him, it's all a game. He's got to the top of the greasy pole, and he's happy. Mind you, I'm very happy with David Cameron. I'm one of his biggest supporters because he's such a valuable recruiting sergeant for UKIP. I live in terror that the Tories might summon up a bit of courage one day, a bit of gumption, and kick him out, because then it might be a little more difficult than it has been for us to make the kind of advances that we have. Not really, because I think we've now established ourselves in this country. People know who UKIP are, people know what we stand for, and it's what they want. It'll never be the same again for the established parties. We're taking votes from all parts of the political spectrum. We won a by-election in Rotherham, one of Labour's safest seats, a couple of weeks ago, with 46.1% of the vote, and we took that seat from Labour. And this is going to happen all over the country, is happening already. It's the great unwritten story, because the press want to present us as a kind of Conservative party in exile, or sort of rest home for real Conservatives. But it's not quite like that. I mean, that's how I came into UKIP, I suppose. But there are plenty of people in UKIP, well, it certainly isn't a rest home, I can assure you. I've never been busier. I just wish I got paid for it. But my payment, of course, is UKIP's success in elections, and particularly next year in the Euro elections. West Midlands has got an extra MEP to elect, and I hope that we'll get at least 3 MEPs elected in the West Midlands. And I know Bill Etheridge is here, my friend from the Black Country. I know he's going to seek a candidature, and I very much hope that he will be successful in that. UKIP is the front runner already in next year's elections, and the media at large are going to give us a mammoth coverage. That can only benefit us, I think. The more coverage we get, the more opportunities we have to get Nigel and others on television, the more people empathise with what we stand for and who we are. The other thing that UKIP has done, I think, to politics in this country is to bring real, normal people back into it. Not these holograms and clones that have been elected to Parliament in such large numbers in recent years. People like Nigel, because he likes to drink, he likes to smoke, he speaks his mind. Most MEPs or people like Cameron, they don't really have a mind to speak in the first place. So that's a big difference that we've made. You know, we are a grassroots movement. I've described us as a kind of peasants' revolt, because we are a country in insurrection, and we are leading that insurrection. We are restoring democracy in its truest sense, because we represent the interests of the people, because we are the people. We're not a remote, unelected political elite such as we have running the country from Brussels, or a remote but elected elite running the country from Downing Street. We are real people who have had real jobs in the real world. And so it is fun, isn't it, being part of a successful political movement. I'm actually having to have counselling because I'm not used to popularity. And so I'm finding it very difficult to cope. But no doubt the more you see of me, the less popular I'll become. But that's been my history so far anyway. But no, I at my time of life I don't care, of course. But there it is. No, it's really rejuvenated me anyway at the grand old age of 64, as I now am, to get re-involved in politics, because I haven't felt like this for 30 years really. I've revived parts of my body that I thought had died long since as a result of being involved in UKIP. Because I think UKIP is a kind of Viagra to the political system, isn't it? And we've certainly livened things up. All we need is more and more members and supporters and activists. And so that's why it's very important that you go forth from this place today and spread the message of UKIP. In fact, the message I'm giving to you, in fact, is to go forth and multiply. So, in whatever way you can, and with the advances in medical science recently, of course, all sorts of surprising things can now happen. But there we are. Anyway, I congratulate you on this thriving branch, on this wonderful party, on this wonderful day, in this quintessentially English setting. And this is really what it's all about, ultimately, isn't it? It's our country, and we want it back. So, thank you very much indeed. Let's carry on the fight.